Cast aside any predefinition you may have for Colombia, as upon closer inspection, one shall see a nation brimming with confidence and rushing towards a prosperous future. Filled with jungles, beaches, and world-famous hospitality, there is no doubt you'll find yourself coming back for more. Welcome to the GlobeTrotter, where today we will be looking over some of the must-see locations while you're visiting the lush and exotic country of Colombia. Before we get started with today's video, be sure to subscribe to the channel in order to stay tuned for even more content down the road. Number 10. Eje Cafetero. The world's third largest producer of coffee beans, Colombia is a fantastic country for tastings and tours. The vast majority of production takes place in the subtropical Andean hills west of Bogotá, between the small cities of Armenia, Pereira, and Manizales. This region, known as the Eje Cafetero, or Coffee Axis, is home to a growing number of coffee plantations that have opened up their operations to the public in recent years for tours, tastings, and lavish farm stays. These small and often organic plantations are the kind of places where the farm owner might take an hour out of his day to explain the process of how a humble cherry turns into a coffee bean that will one day be roasted and ground into a latte back home. The small resort town of Salento is easily the most attractive place to base yourself, with numerous farm tours nearby and plenty of things to do. You'll also have easy access to attractions like Cocora Valley, home to the tallest palm trees in the world. You can rent bicycles from Salento to explore the region under your own steam, or ride on one of the old-fashioned Willy Jeeps that serve as the town's de facto taxis. Number 9. The Lost City. Colombia's most popular hike is undoubtedly the 4-day, 44-kilometer trek to Ciudad Perdida, a lost city hidden deep in the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta mountains that was only rediscovered in the 1970s. Built and occupied by Tairona Indians between the 8th and 14th centuries, this ancient city is said to be one of the largest pre-Columbian settlements discovered in the Americas. Much of the site remains buried beneath a thick jungle quilt. The modern indigenous inhabitants of the area have banned excavations, but you'll find that the stone terraces and stairways are in outstanding shape. It's not possible to visit this site alone, so you'll need to book a tour from Santa Marta in advance. The overall hike to this remote destination shall cost approximately $334, so be sure to plan ahead. This is a fixed price arranged by the communities that inhabit the surroundings of the trail. Number 8. Cartagena. Cartagena is the crown jewel of Colombia's Caribbean coast and one of the best preserved colonial destinations in the Americas. Take a stroll through the historic walled city, and you may feel as if you step back in time to a different era. Maybe it's the 13 kilometers of centuries-old walls, or the colorful colonial architecture, many of which are now beautifully restored restaurants and luxury hotels. Perhaps it's the bougainvillea-covered balconies along the labyrinthine streets, or the soaring Catholic churches that tower above every plaza. Whatever it is, visitors can't help but fall for this Caribbean charmer. Beyond the old city center lies laid-back Getsemani, and along the ocean front is Boca Grande, a newer part of town where upscale condos and hotels fight for prime seafront real estate. And less than an hour away by boat are islands and beaches, offering ideal getaways and day trips. Number 7. Providencia Island. This quirky Caribbean island leaves many first-time visitors perplexed. For starters, it's far closer to Nicaragua than Colombia. Then there's the fact that its residents don't speak Spanish, but rather an English Creole. Of course, none of that really matters when you find yourself sunning on the most stunning beaches under the Colombian flag. Little more than a dollop of golden sands and perky palms, this isolated island is the jewel of the UNESCO-protected Seaflower Biosphere Reserve, with some of the world's greatest marine biodiversity just waiting to be explored. You'll need to first step on the more popular San Andres Island and catch a short hopper plane or 3-hour catamaran ride to reach Providencia. Once there, you'll find the largest collection of cottages and hotels in the small hamlet of Agua Dulce on the stunning west coast of the island. Number 6. Medellin. Bogotá might be the Colombian capital, but it's the smaller and more manageable city of Medellin that tends to capture the hearts of visitors. Medellin was dubbed the most dangerous city in the world in the early 1990s, but a quarter of a century later, it has earned a reputation for something entirely different: innovation. The city boasts cable cars linking the settlements in its hills to a modern metro system in the valley below, a green belt of lush eco-parks, and striking libraries and community centers in some of the poorest neighborhoods. A great day of sightseeing might start in the Old Quarter at Botero Plaza, where you'll find a collection of 23 portly sculptures donated by the beloved Colombian artist Fernando Botera. Adjacent to the plaza is the must-visit Museum of Antioquia and the striking Rafael Uribe Palace of Culture. Then head into the hills above town by riding the sleek escalator system through Comuna 13 to explore this neighborhood's colorful homes and elaborate street murals. Finish your day in Medellin's trendiest commune, El Poblado, where you'll find buzzing eateries, boutique shops, and the vast majority of the city's hotels. Number 5. Tayrona National Natural Park. You'll find some of the most beautiful beaches in all of Colombia, located within the protected Tayrona National Natural Park. This national park is known for its palm-shaded coves and crystal-clear coastal lagoons. Most beaches are set against the dramatic mountains of the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, whose rainforested hills make for a great side trip on any beach vacation. Tayrona is also a fantastic place for snorkeling at protected areas near La Piscina Beach and Cabo San Juan. The Tayrona National Natural Park holds an abundance of wildlife, housing several hundred species of flora and fauna. The park is even the last environment on Earth in which the cotton-top tamarine still exists, with signs covering the park to make sure visitors are aware of these endangered little fellas. Although the park itself is rather remote, the secluded beaches that it's most known for are not exactly a well-kept secret. If you are to plan a visit, it would be best to travel during the low season, between the months of February and November, to avoid the large crowds who otherwise gather. Also, unless you're paying for the lavish eco-habs Tayrona, be prepared to sleep in a tent, or a hammock if you'd prefer, at one of the many beachside campgrounds. Number 4. Bogota. Most visitors to Colombia will inevitably begin their trip in the nation's largest city and beating heart, Bogota. It's a city that often divides opinion, with some complaining of its gridlock streets and dreary weather, and others falling head over heels for its unique combination of colonial charm and urban sophistication. Either way, this city of 8 million tends to grow on people who give it enough time. Begin your sightseeing in the historic center of La Candelaria, where you'll find the impressive buildings lining Plaza de Bolivar and can't miss culture attractions like the blindingly bright Museum of Gold. Then head over to the wealthier neighborhoods of North Bogota for some of the nation's best boutique shops and chef-driven restaurants. Finish your day in Medellin's trendiest commune, El Poblado, where you'll find buzzing eateries, boutique shops, and the vast majority of the city's hotels. Number 3. Mompox. Lovers of magic realism and the writings of Gabriel Garcia Marquez will fall for the sleepy charms of Mompox. It features prominently in the Nobel laureate's book The General and His Labyrinth, and is thought to be the inspiration for the fictional town of Macondo in his most famous novel, 100 Years of Solitude. Mompox was once a prosperous cog in the trading route between the Caribbean coast and the Andes, famed as the spot where El Libertador, Simón Bolívar, recruited his army to gain independence for neighboring Venezuela. Now, this colonial relic along the muddy shores of the Magdalena River is truly a town that time forgot. Though it lacks a wealth of things to do, many visitors find themselves spending far longer than planned strolling through the cobbled streets, soaking in the ambiance of the colonial architecture, or taking boat trips through the Pijinho Swamp, a popular attraction for birders. Number 2. Hacienda Napoles. If there's one man who lingers large over Colombia's recent history, it's the billionaire drug trafficker Pablo Escobar. What few people realize is that you can actually visit the lavish estate built and owned by Escobar in Puerto Triunfo, about 110 miles east of Medellin. The sprawling complex, known as Hacienda Napoles, fell into disrepair in the decade after Escobar's death in 1993. But the local municipality took control of the property in the mid-2000s and turned it into, of all things, an ever-growing amusement park with an eclectic mix of themed zones, hotels, a water park, and safari-style zoo. The amusements and hotels may be new, but signs of Escobar are everywhere. His antique car collection sits on display next to the ruins of his former mansion. One of the Cessna planes he used to smuggle drugs to the US is perched atop the entry gate, and there's a small museum that grapples with his legacy. There is also a Jurassic zone filled with the life-size dinosaur replicas he purchased for his son, and a wild hippo herd that after years of heavy procreation has grown from 4 to 40 and now represents the largest herd outside of Africa. Number 1. La Guajira Peninsula. It is the most northerly point in South America, so perhaps it's only fitting that La Guajira is unlike anywhere else on the continent. This remote and little visited peninsula is a quiet oasis of sweeping sand dunes, bird-covered mangrove swamps, and vast stretches of empty land, where the orange-brown La Guajira Desert meets the turquoise Caribbean Sea. Indigenous beliefs are the law of the land here, as the peninsula is home to the proud Wayuu people, who were never subjugated under Spanish rule and maintain a vibrant culture to this day. Keep in mind that tourism is still new in La Guajira, and the ride in from the regional capital of Rio Hacha requires both patience and a sense of adventure. The windsurfing mecca of Cabo de la Vela has the most tourism infrastructure and will likely be your best entry point into the region. Though the trip is still fresh and may take some added time to plan, the destination is by far worth the added effort. We hope you enjoyed this look into some of the attractions and destinations you can expect while visiting the natural and beautiful country of Colombia. Do you agree with our list of locations? Have any recommendations or destinations you'd prefer to have seen? Let us know down in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button in order to know when new videos and lists come out.